Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, a huge welcome to anyone who is new. We are going to look into this new moon today. So, this is something that we always look into, the new moons, the full moons, but I feel like this cycle is a little bit special here in August, and it's partially because of all of the other things that are happening. We've got a couple of retrogrades coming in, so in another week we should be feeling the Mercury retrograde. We're already having a Venus retrograde, so there's a lot of that energy, plus the lunar energies have been pretty intense for us. This month we've got, it begins with that the full moon that we had at the beginning of the month in Aquarius. Then we're going to have another at the end of the month, and so I feel like because that's going to be the blue moon, there will be the second, and they're both super moons. And so here in the middle we've got this new moon. This one's in Leo. It's a passion moon. It's a passion around hobbies, creative efforts, things like that, but also it's got the ability to go deep into the emotion as well. So we're going to go ahead and look at it as it'll be a general reading for this collective. So it's not going to resonate with everybody as usual. For those of you who like to watch the stones that I put on the top, if you saw the thank you reading, then you saw in between the reading itself and the extended that I put out there. So for the thank you reading, I include the extended just as part of the video for those of you who haven't seen it. And so for some people, they have never seen an extended. So it's an opportunity to see that. But in between, I put in a little video that was like a tour of my table, and someone had asked about what's on my table, the stones that I use, and things like that. So I'm actually going to sub them out. For this particular moon reading, I'm subbing them out with moonstones. So at least we have that for this one. I don't always feel compelled to do that. Sometimes I just kind of go with what feels right. But we'll go ahead and get started here, and we're going to look at the energy surrounding this moon. So we're going to look at that energetic and emotional backdrop to get us started. And it's that energetic and emotional backdrop around this time. Justice card, something's not quite right. Something needs to be set right, and you're going to be feeling it. This is part of that reconciliation piece. There is, you're ready for more in your personal journeys with the advent of the energy of this moon. And here with the Justice card in the reverse, you are basically having something set out right in front of you that helps you to know where to direct your energies. I'm throwing the cards across the table. Let's see here. I don't mind being messy, but I don't want to knock the stuff all over the place. And I do mind being messy. Who am I kidding? All right, so we've got the Three of Shells and the Emperor. The Three of Shells is in the reverse. Emperor is upright. This is balanced masculine energy that's going to make it feel a little bit easier for you to go toward your reconciliation during this time, during this period. So this is kind of an exciting thing. The Three of Shells in the reverse feels a little bit like there's something that is, you're shutting yourself off from. There's a sense of shutting yourself off from something so that you can get more be able to focus better on what it is that you want to focus on. So you're shutting something else out so that you have the ability to do that. That's kind of what this Three of Shells feels like. It's like removing yourself from a social or political situation to get a better understanding of the direction you actually want to go. And it sounds like a great idea because it has the energy of figuring out what it is that you truly want, using your using that balanced masculine energy in your favor. It's happening in your favor, using it for a good thing. You do have the Page of Feathers, so that's going to be air energy. The Ten of Shells. Shells are water energy, so we have the Three of Shells here, Ten of Shells here. It's a good thing that you're taking a step back, because you've got something coming toward you that is likely to trigger you emotionally, but I think you're going to take it in stride because of this balanced masculine energy that's happening here. So this gets overruled. The Page of Feathers is kind of, I'm afraid to jump in, and you're going to make it'll be like sometimes I say you make short work of something. This is almost no time. You're going to spend almost no time worrying about that fear, whatever that is, because you're going to be overwhelmed by a kind of more of a can-do attitude, especially because you've got that greater focus. Here we go with that can-do attitude. You've got nothing but straight ahead. Eight of Acorns is hammer down. You are ready to go forward. Queen of Acorns is like a ramrod. It is absolutely going forward. And this Knight of Crystals is saying, well, I'm here to back you up. So it's the sense of it's there to back you up, even if you're feeling like, you know, I don't feel like you have any concerns about your ability to move forward on your plans and your desires. You, like I said, you have no time wasted with the fear. You are ready to move forward despite the fact that something may be challenging you, may be giving you a little bit of that feeling of being triggered, but I feel like you move right through it. This is that sense of moving through it with flying colors. This Eight of Acorns, this Queen of Acorns is the ability to push through what you don't immediately fly through. And the Knight of Crystals is like something slow and steady that's got your back and is going to clean up whatever you drop on the way through. So you've got that fast energy of moving through. In case you leave a couple of loose ends, this Knight of Crystals energy is what's going to kind of come back and make sure that you're taken care of there. Let's get one more card for you. I was trying to decide if it felt like it was done or not, and it was not. So Six of Feathers, this is you making time for yourself, making time for not just making time for yourself, but making good on that time. So we had, I think it was in yesterday's reading, it was in one of the last couple of readings we had in August, there's this sense of you taking a little bit of time and actually doing the best you can with it. So if you've got vacation time coming up, this is you using that vacation time in a way that is truly helpful for you and really helps you to kind of work through a need to unplug and a feeling that you're moving toward burnout. You're able to actually avoid it with this energy here. So if you've got a vacation coming up, this is saying that you're likely to use it well. I love the sound of that. So let's see what else is going on in this moon energy. So this is around the time of this moon. Maybe you're going on your vacation sometime around the time of this moon. Or maybe, you know, I guess there's a lot of different ways this could play out. I don't want to run through every scenario that pops up in my head for that, because I get all these little visual scenarios that'll say, hey, here's an example that you might use. And inevitably it's somebody's situation, because I'll get the email the next day. Yeah, you were talking about me. I'm the one with the white socks who had them hanging over the side of the bed, or whatever super specific weirdness I came up with, or didn't, as the case may be. It just appears in my head and then I say it. And at first I used to feel like maybe I shouldn't, but it just started coming out and I started to learn to trust it more. But let's look at that overall. What do you need to know about this moon and the energy coming with it? And that energy has been present for, it feels like a couple of days at least. Okay, so here is where that tendency to not jump into something is going to come in. And even that tendency to kind of feel like things are, this isn't an overwhelmed feeling of Temperance in reverse. It's just feeling like you don't have all your ducks in a row and things are not necessarily ready for you to do something. You're not ready to jump into something new because of whatever this is. But it doesn't mean that you're above creating a plan. This is kind of jumping in aimlessly. I get a sense that you're going to aim very carefully. So this Fool doesn't bother me, because it's basically saying that, okay, so sometimes the Fool is about jumping off into something new. Sometimes it's actually about seeing yourself as foolish, feeling foolish, doing something that is foolish. In this case, what I would say is it is not jumping into something actively, but it is also because you're not going to do it in a foolish way. You're going to do it in a more measured and thought out way. So not that you won't jump in or engage it, just you're not going to do it on those type of terms. That's not a hesitant energy so much as a considering one. So it feels very healthy. It feels like you don't want to get lost in the intellect piece of it, but you won't. So here it is. There's the King of Feathers, not getting lost in the intellect piece of it. Don't get up in your head. The Strength card kind of came out sideways, but it feels a little bit more reversed here. It's not a bad feeling. It's more a feeling of uncertainty, and I don't have enough information to move forward on something. My fears are still too great. This is not the same as that page of feathers. That's going to be something that, again, you waste almost no time with that. With the strength card, this is going to be a little bit more legitimate, but you just got to make sure that as you're working through what you're working through, yes, you can still move through it, but you want to not get up in your head about it. You use that intellect as a tool rather than a crutch, essentially. Okay, so we've got the sun. You're trying to avoid a missed opportunity. With it in reverse, it feels very much like a missed opportunity, but you're looking to avoid that. Yet I don't see you jumping in and making a wrong decision. I do see you tempted to do so. You will be saved by this Three of Acorns energy. So the shadow is like the devil card. It's devil energy that wants to entrap you, wants to hold you under its control. You're not going to fall for it, but you are absolutely going to have to acknowledge that it's there. It's like having an obsessive desire not to miss something, like, and I'm going to use a crazy example here, but you've got somebody who posts on social media every day, but they post these 24-hour stories. And if you don't catch it every single day, you're going to miss some. And you've got a very strong fear of missing out for this particular person posting on social media. This is saying that it's turning into like an obsession. You're wanting to avoid missing an opportunity. This is saying you're going to get over it. This is saying that if you miss a day, you already know it's not the end of the world. And there might even be a way for you to kind of work around some of the fear that is driving your behaviors here, because it'll be a fear that is based on something you are not necessarily thinking about that's driving this tendency to obsess. Again, getting up in your head about it is just going to result in overthinking. It's more a matter of you need to build a plan, but not obsess over that plan. Oh, we've got the Traveler. So it's ultimately, so the Traveler not coming out as the Fool is ultimately feeling like, yes, you are going to engage this. You are going to move forward. You're going on an adventure. It's not an unmeasured risk. This is much less foolish than what the Fool could potentially be, where you're just jumping off a cliff. This is not that, but it is still engaging, like we saw up there with the other Fool. But with one being in the reverse and the other one being in the upright, I just kind of want to explain. Sometimes I get that where I'll have a card come out, what seems like the exact opposite of it, but it feels like it's still driving the same message. And so in that case, I like to let you guys know. If you read cards, then you will probably be familiar with that. You'll be aware that sometimes a card comes out and feels completely different than it did the last time you read that card, whether it's the same deck or another deck, doesn't matter, and then you'll notice that in some decks a card comes out feeling pretty much like that every time. So it's just, personality of the deck. This deck, both of these decks are pretty flexible, but they also are being driven by a universe that is very aware that I'm just going to listen to whatever it says. So it's a matter of these two cards meaning something very similar, but I also want to explain that to my audience. And I'm sitting here flashing this Seven of Acorns that doesn't have a place in this reading here. Not in this moment in the reading. So we've got the Wheel coming out in reverse. Something that is, again, needs to change, but it isn't. This isn't you that's holding up the change. This is the universe holding it up. And we've got a card that fell, but it came in. It fell face down. We do have a Knight of Feathers here that's sideways. You are going to have a flip or fly moment. And what I mean by that, like you're going to have the opportunity to make a decision that is either, and you keep having decision cards come out in your readings. You're going to have an opportunity where you get to decide which way you're going to go. There's a lot of fear wrapped around it. Watch for that though, because not going the scary direction may breed depression. Okay, that feeling comes out with this card. That whole sentence just came out with that card, and I did not change it. It may breed depression. Okay, so let's look at what you need to be focused on as we move into the time of this new moon. And these cards are real slick, so I have a tendency to kind of throw them all around. Again, though, I'm not that concerned about it. If I can keep them on the table and keep from destroying things, I'm all right with it. All right, so we've got the Five of Wands in reverse. This is a going with the flow kind of card. Seven of Swords in reverse is self-trust. Going with the flow and self-trust. These are things that kind of underlie everything else that may be going on here. You have a strong modicum of self-trust that you've built, but that going with the flow piece is something that's anybody's guess. Sometimes it's easy for you to engage that and just roll with it. Other times you can't really imagine doing that. So it depends on the situation. And there's no reason to think that that's going to change now. This is part of your personality. However, if you can focus on the pieces where you're more ready to go with the flow, those are going to be times of greater potential for you. And you've got a lot of potential in this month. You've got a lot of potential as it relates to this moon cycle. The new moon is a time for us to be looking at new beginnings, but even new hobbies and creative efforts, even things that aren't new, you may find new passion around them. This is also passion for those hobbies kind of comes up for you here. We've got the Ace of Feathers. You're avoiding a truth, or not necessarily avoiding it so much as not focusing on it. We saw this come out in yesterday's reading where, hey, there's going to be a download. It comes to you. You may or may not, it isn't even whether or not you like it. It's like the timing is weird enough that you're focused on something else and you're not necessarily focused on this. So it isn't so much the nature of the truth, but the timing of it that causes you to miss it, or not to be thinking about it. But it's going to end up mattering. So you have Eight of Earth here. Eight of Crystals is Earth energy. And it's a matter of, there's a place in your healing where there's a chink in your armor, but you aren't going to know about it. You aren't going to know about it, or you aren't going to have seen it in a while. It'll be something that you don't really see coming. So you get, I don't want to say triggered because it's the wrong word. You're going to get upset in some way that causes you to see this chink in your armor. It is not a quick fix. However, it is a fixable one, and it's something that you can get to and start working on. Let's see here. Is this the chink? No, it's the moon. I was thinking, you know, it would be awesome if we kind of would know what that is. I'm not extending this reading, so understanding what that chink in your armor is might be helpful. But here I'm getting use your imagination, which is not at all what I expected to get from this. All right. Sometimes reading the words that just automatically come out with the cards is not always the obvious answer to things. So we've got the Four of Acorns, which is stability. That is comfort. That is a new beginning. That is like a marriage, or getting established in a new home, in a new community, and this feeling of just kind of positivity and a warmth that comes along with it. So this is sitting around the edges for you as you're sitting here trying to figure out what use your imagination means. But we've got this Ten of Acorns, which it feels to me like because of the efforts around you trying to take a load off. It's like trying to drop the load that we talked about you not holding on to, that we talked about you setting down, because it's things that you don't necessarily control anyway. So having a little bit of leeway there, allowing yourself not to have to control it is really a good thing. This Ten of Acorns, that represents setting down the load of things that you are not responsible for. You've got very dedicated energy, and it sometimes can become over dedicated and can tire itself out. So here with the Three of Crystals, this is a matter of things working in your favor, working for you. But it feels like it's a partnership energy, but not just a partnership with one person. It's like teamwork. There's a feeling of something coming together for you as part of a team, but not necessarily. It's like a bad lab partner situation. So it's teamwork, but you're not necessarily, you may be putting in an undue amount of effort in this particular team. If you are disinclined to do that, you are going to want to speak up, because this is an energy where you're going to be able to speak up. You're going to be able to harken back to when things went well when you spoke up in the past, or didn't go well when you spoke up in the past. Adjust your approach and still be able to execute. So this has you standing up for yourself in this energy, but you're going to be able to do it. There is still some healing that's going to kind of come out around the edges of that, but you're going to be, so how do I, you're going to figure out when you're standing up for yourself that there's something here where you're unhealed and you need to maybe take a better look at things, get a better perspective on things, but it's not going to show in what you say or what you do. It's still going to look like you are reasonably eloquent as you work through this, but you're going to see where there's some improvement that's needed. So I want to get you an oracle card now to think about just the overall, what is the advice for everything on the table? Because we've got a time of change here, but we've got a time of change where you really are in the driver's seat and at an advantage. There's a lot of that. So it's like if you've got something that you want to work on, this is a great time to move forward on it. If you're wanting to start the business, this is a good time to start the business. Oh, it fell face down. If you are wanting to try something that's a little bit new of a risk, you're encouraged to do that. This is the energy under which you would do something like that. We've got the new moon in Gemini here. So today's new moon is in Leo, but it doesn't matter with this new moon and with this energy that's coming here. This is communication being key, and it's key to this partnership. So we talked about you having to kind of stand up for yourself, but this is one of those things where when you stand up for yourself, it has a longer impact. It has a long-term impact. You get seen a different way, but it's very positive. So it ends up being a good thing for you to be more yourself, which is an effort that was kind of kicked off with the new moon, or I'm sorry, with the full moon in Aquarius back at the beginning of the month. It was a sense of you becoming more yourself. And it was like there was this underlying strength of a very personal nature that resulted in you doing some blossoming into some really beautiful places. But here, it's like you're in full blossom at this point. This is really great, but my favorite part of this whole reading is this Six of Feathers energy where you take the time to actually get reset in a situation where you need to get reset. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here. It's an auspicious time. There's a lot going on, a lot of positivity going on for you, confusion going on maybe for some of your soulmates or people that are coming in, but it's not necessarily the end of the world. They're going to work through that too. And a lot of this moon energy will also apply to them because it's just kind of a general moon energy. And because you're connected with them. So people who are within this collective, some of this is going to go beyond even that. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I will look forward to looking into your third party situation a little bit more deeply tomorrow. And let's just kind of see what we've got there. And with that, I'll talk with you soon.